We are honored today to be sitting with Paola Antonelli from the Museum of Modern Art, Senior Curator, Department of Architecture and Design. Paola, thank you so much for making time for us today. Paola, tell me about the inspiration behind your upcoming exhibit, Talk to Me.
The inspiration for contemporary design shows tends to come from what we see. Talk to Me is about how we communicate with objects. See, objects have always been meaningful to us. We've always become attached to things, but now we expect things to talk with us. After the digital revolution and after the post-structuralist revolution, if you wish, we expect things to actually have a conversation, and designers have this new role, not only of giving form and function to objects, but also they've become almost script writers. You know, they have to write the first lines of the conversation and then let it be improvised in a meaningful way. So you might think, well, how do you see this in your everyday life? I kind of do, and if you paid attention with this particular frame of mind, you would notice it too, I'm sure. That's my job as a curator.
With so many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of objects in the world today and new ones coming on at an increasing rate, how do you go about selecting what is in the show? It must be taken an awful long time. What is the process you go through?
I try to really cast the net very, very wide. So at the beginning of a show, I pretty much tell anybody I know, including my mom's butchers in Milan, you know, it doesn't matter who, anybody whose email I have, I just send an email. I said, I'm doing this show. It's about the communication between people and objects, or it's about design and science. Any ideas? And then I gather back all this stuff that goes in the big minestrone, in which you already have all the stuff that I cut out from magazines, from blogs, that I saw, that my assistants saw. So it becomes this gigantic pot. And then this time in particular for Talk to Me, since it was an exhibition about communicating, and since it was an open source to begin with, we decided to have a blog, a journal from the beginning. You know, people always ask us, how do you curate a show? So let us show you. And we posted every single suggestion that we got. So there was a queue, which meant the things that we hadn't looked at yet, but we would try to get to on the next all-nighter. Then we would move things from the queue into different categories if they passed the first muster. The ones that didn't pass muster, we just made disappear. We didn't say no, you know, that would be too mean. But so we showed everybody how we filtered things. We showed them when we had doubts about the previous taxonomy, and we changed taxonomy for the show. We explained why. So we tried to document it. It was good to keep us on our toes and to keep the method going. And it showed how chaotic and organic the process is. But what I learned with the previous show with Design and the Elastic Mind is that it's okay not to have done a perfect job. Because especially when it comes to contemporary design, if you leave it a little bit open and you let people come back with their feeling of the gaps, the exhibition becomes much more participatory, much more interesting for the curator, and much more interesting for the public. So ultimately, I think it's another sign of the times that you don't necessarily have to make the ultimate exhibition about anything contemporary. Quite the opposite. You have to pose the right questions and point people in certain directions.
Can you share with us today a couple of examples of what we might look forward to seeing at the exhibition?
Sure, yes. Well, there's one. Every time I get this question, I try to highlight different objects so they all get some exposure. So today, let's talk about one of my very favorites, which is by a Japanese designer whose name is Putniko with an exclamation mark at the end. And it's a fabulous object. You know, Talk to Me is about trying to understand others. It's about diversity. And this piece is fantastic. It's a menstruation machine. So it's a contraption that you can wear. It almost looks like an old-fashioned chastity belt. So you are a man, a child, a husband, a transsexual, whatever. You wear it around your chest, or not chest, around your waist. And it has electrodes that give you contraction, and so you get cramps, really. Then it has a reservoir. You take your own blood and you put it in the reservoir. So you really go through the whole motion. You get your pain, you get your discomfort, you get all the kind of unease that goes with it, and you really, really can feel what it means to be a woman and to have your period. And then Sputniko, she's really amazing. So there's the object, and there's a beautiful visual view of Takeshi, that's the character that embodies the completely ambiguous gender that tries this particular menstruation machine. And then there's also a song and a music video, because Sputniko is a little bit of a pop star in Japan. So it's fantastic because it's so poignant and so kind of scabrous, like outrageous, and also so sensitive. You know, it's the ultimate form of understanding of other people. And instead, another object that is completely different in the sense that it's much more integral to our daily life and less arguable, less questionable, is the MetroCard vending machine. So we're going to have a working MetroCard vending machine in the exhibition. The MetroCard vending machine, both the machine itself and the interface, are quite amazingly good. The machine itself, well, it's not only the aluminum, but it's also the big enamel pads, you know, with those primary colors, and they're so sturdy. And you have the feeling that even if you chip them, they would look even better. I mean, it kind of harks back to when the signs of the subways used to be enameled, right? So old-fashioned and new at the same time. And the interface is so clear. I mean, frankly, if it were not for the fact that it asks you for your zip code when you enter a credit card, and so tourists are always puzzled, they don't know what to do, so you always see lines of tourists, but otherwise, it's so clear. And you can imagine this big, burly MTA guys with their mittens, you know, I mean, it accepts also the mittens. So it's a beautiful and very well-designed interface that really expresses New York City and the kind of surprising, let's say it that way, trip that you're going to have when you descend downstairs.
Paola, thank you so much for spending time with us today, and we look forward to the exhibit this summer at the Museum of Modern Art here in New York City. Thank you so much.